Hello and welcome to another episode of Throttle Stop Garage. Today's episode we're going to get some of the sheet metal work done at the back of the car. So there's been a number of bits of progress being made sort of all over the place, but I haven't really kind of come together and finalized anything. It's starting to bug me. So the weather's nice, the garage doors are open, everything's looking great. So I'm finally going to get around to getting all of the sheet metal at the back of the car. Instead of having it held in with Clecos and sheet metal screws, we're going to get it all in and finished with the subframe mounted back up that we had to finish months ago. There really isn't any reason why the back of the car shouldn't just be done, or at least as done as I care to make it for now. So we've got a few little jobs to do today. So let's get to work. Okay, so here we are at the back. You can see some of the sheet metal that's already in place. I mean, it's been like this for a year. No reason, again, not to get some of these things figured out. But you can see that I've removed the rear panel here that should go in behind, that closes off the inside of the car. It was only ever held in with sheet metal screws. And I took it out to make sure that I could get access to various things, as well as to properly weld and reinforce the frame down legs that I put in here and of course on the other side. So here's our first sort of issue with all of this is this area of sheet metal here is closing in the whole back part. Spare tire is still going in the stock location, although I've narrowed it up with the frame member. Simply, I don't need a ton of room to accommodate the size of spare that I'm going to carry back here. Haven't decided what I'm doing with these spaces. They might hold batteries or tools or something. That's in behind the tire. Of course, we still have acres of trunk here, as well as that area inside that we affectionately call the barbecue lid. That's going to hold, well, who knows what, probably something goofy. But I spent a lot of time making that part. I probably should have just walled the whole back of it off. It would have been easier. Anyways, be that as it may, I mean, the reason, you've got an independent rear suspension, you might as well try to make as much use of that trunk space as you can. Right, so I've got a few dirt traps. This probably isn't going to be a big deal, but just in behind here, there's a reinforcing part for this frame leg, and this sheet metal, of course, closes over top of that. And there's a space between the two, and I've got a nice shelf in there where dirt, water, and other things are going to get trapped. So first job for today, attach these two pieces of sheet metal together. I've got them Clecoed together, but I'm just going to tack them. I'm just going to tack weld them in place. And once they're tack welded in place, we can take them out, finish the back side of where the panels connect, do the little folds, a little bit of dolly work back there, kind of tuck things in a little bit, then go back underneath, make a cardboard pattern, and make a little closing panel that will nicely clean up and finish up that area. Okay, so on this one we're just, those little hoops are actually the covers that go over the mount inside. Just getting the holes punched to get ready to spot weld those in. Just thought I'd chime in and know what's going on. We're gonna have a lot of stop motion. It's a lovely day. It's not too hot out in the garage, so we're going to try to get a bunch of things done today. You can see I've been working away on the painting. So this is the part of the rear sheet metal that's going to go over top of the frame rails and eventually enclose the rear suspension. So we've just seen getting the piece made here, which is basically just a trap deflector to make sure garbage doesn't collect on the top of a frame rail. But now we've painted all of the insides of the parts. I've got to get these hole punched, so I got to drill some holes, punch some holes all over the place. So we'll Swiss cheese this up, getting it ready for plug welding to put it in. All I'm using on the inside of this is just a little bit of trim cloud. To be honest, once this is all seam sealed up and everything else is done, it's sort of unlikely that things are going to go badly with it. So we're okay with just chucking a little trim cloud on it. And I don't take any great care with the primer. A lot of this is going to get sanded later. It's just important to get that weld through primer between the welds. You know, there's nothing you can do with the weld, just so that any moisture that gets in there has got, you have a fighting chance of keeping your car in somewhat good condition. Okay, so we'll move our way towards the back. So we've done a bunch of cleaning up back here. I literally spent days doing this. It doesn't look like it. It never looks like it. And here I was telling you way back in video 1 or something that, oh, the sheet metal's done. Oh, the sheet metal is about 4 days away from being finished. So, not exactly done. Anyway, so there's the frame rails. I've now cleaned all of the... I had just tossed a little bit of primer on them before just to hold them. There's still just a little bit of epoxy primer on them now. But I've cleaned off all the areas there. So I've marked all of this off with the sheet metal in place, which has been no mean feat actually to get the sheet metal in place. I mean, it was there. It fits, but you have so many degrees of freedom that it all fits. But once you start locking things down, once you start getting a few welds put in place, you start finding out how things really fit. Because let's face it, they're going to have to fit in reality, not fit with a bunch of clecos and things in place. And I can't get clecos into everything here. So we got this back area. Don't worry about the sides in here. Those are being replaced. So the trunk floor, we'll weld all of this up. We'll get that put in. And then the hard part, see if I can get up here, has been getting you can see it now, getting the trunk, or the parcel shelf just the spots cleaned out. I'm going to drill through from the parcel shelf actually and weld into the mating part that goes into the trunk. So the spot welds will be on the inside of the car, not on the bottom side of the car, and then we'll seam seal all of this up. So, any little missed spots or whatever, I just went through with a sort of sanding disc on my little die grinder and buffed all that out, because it's a pain to do. So it's some finish work to do there. Anyway, so we'll get that primer on here right away, and we'll get the spot welding done, the panels fitted, and then there'll be more fitting as we get, for each panel that goes in, I'm expecting more fitting. And then, of course, the subframe is going to have to get dropped out. So I'm expecting to get, hubris, right? I hope to get this finalized today with the sheet metal welded in place. Then I'll do my final panel fit-ups, hopefully this afternoon or tomorrow. Then get the subframe dropped out of here one last time. Not one last time, it'll go in probably 10 more times. But, one more time for right now. Get that dropped out, and then get the spray gun out. Clean up all of the insides. We'll do all the little bits of sanding and stuff that need to be done before it goes in. Get a coat of epoxy on everything here at the back. Again, just to hold it. We're not painting the car right now, so we're just trying to make sure we've got some kind of a ground coat on there that isn't nonsense and will allow us to paint later. So also note, I've done the inside here just before I shut up, but I've done the inside of the area where panels are going to close. I've painted the inside of the rear cross member here, and we'll put that weld through on everything else. Okay, let's get to work. at this point you can see I'm starting to chase the weld, so I've got my little rounded over chisel in there and I hammer the heck out of that bottom corner. Once the edges are tight, that makes sure that everything's down and in good position to weld. Okay, it's time to get the rest of this sheet metal cleaned up. So we're first going to just clean and tidy up all the oils and fingerprints and everything off the metal, and then start in with a little bit of sanding and dressing, and finally we'll punch it full of holes and get this part welded in too.